Mm.
We will start in 1 minute.
Okay.
Should we make the countdown? 10, 9, 8. To
Apologize.
exactly 10 tenths. Ah, yes.
Ok. Rồi tao xin đi lấy cốc nước nha mọi người.
Mọi người tranh thủ để lấy cốc nước.
Ok, thì chắc là mình sẽ xin phép bắt đầu luôn ha, để không tốn thời gian của mọi người. Mình sẽ xin dành một vài phút chỉ để nói một xíu về workshop của mình ngày hôm nay. Thì trước tiên là mình chào mừng tất cả mọi người, các bạn thí sinh, các bạn sinh viên và những ai đang theo dõi chuỗi workshop lần này của tụi mình. Đây là buổi seminar thứ 2 của workshop nhận năm 2026. Thì mình xin thay mặt ban tổ chức rất là vui và hân hạnh được đồng hành với các bạn trong cái chuỗi workshop này. Và như các bạn cũng đã biết thì workshop nhận năm 2026 là một cái lần thứ 2 tụi mình tổ chức, và đã được tạo ra với rất là nhiều những cái kỳ vọng là mình sẽ tạo ra một cái không gian nhằm thúc đẩy và mở rộng kết nối với các bạn sinh viên và kiến trúc sư trẻ người Việt trên khắp thế giới. So good morning from Europe. A warm welcome to all candidates, students, and everyone tuning into this second seminar in our 4-part series for workshop Nhận Season 2 2026. I would like to say thank you to you all that you're participating in this seminar with us. And I'm so delighted to be your host for today's session. As you may know that the workshop Nhận series was founded in 2025 as an open space to connect Vietnam students and young architects around the world. Chương trình lần này của tụi mình thì được xây dựng trên 2 nền tảng cốt lõi là nhận thức cái mới và nhận diện bản thân. Workshop Nhận 2026 được đồng tổ chức bởi 2 đơn vị chính là VNN và Vasadi, cũng như là cái sự tham gia hỗ trợ rất là nhiệt tình từ nhiều đơn vị bảo trợ và truyền thông như là VSSE, AAVF và Atlas. The program is built on 2 core foundations. Embracing new awareness and identifying ourselves. Workshop Nhận 2026 2026 is co-organized by 2 main entities. We have Vasadi, Vietnamese alumni, student of architecture, design and engineer, and VNAN, which is Vietnamese architect network, along with participation and support from numerous sponsoring and media partners such as VSSE, AAVF and Atlas. Đồng hành của chúng ta trong cái không gian ngày hôm nay thì tụi mình sẽ có rất là nhiều những cái gương mặt đại diện của ban tổ chức, diễn giả của chúng ta, và đồng hành cùng tất cả các bạn tham gia workshop cũng như là các bạn sinh viên đang lắng nghe cái buổi trò chuyện ngày hôm nay. Joining us today lecturer, I would like to introduce to you guys representative from the organizing committee, our very special guest speaker, and a large audience of participating candidates and guest students. Mình xin dành vài lời để giới thiệu về diễn giả của chúng ta ngày hôm nay là kiến trúc sư Bierich đến từ Đức, là thành viên của Hội đồng Tư vấn Thiết kế tại thành phố Offenburg, Đức, cố vấn chuyên môn của Ing.Architect và là nhà sáng lập của Studio Bierich. Anh cũng là cựu chủ tịch Hội Kiến trúc sư Đức BDA tại Stuttgart, và anh cũng là một thành viên trong hội đồng giám khảo của workshop Nhận 2026. Trong cái buổi chia sẻ này với chúng ta về chủ đề Design Thinking thì chúng ta sẽ được anh Bierich giúp chúng ta hiểu hơn về cách xây dựng hệ thống tư duy mở đúng và đủ trước khi đặt những cái nét bút đầu tiên khi mà chúng ta thiết kế. Bên cạnh đó thì còn có những cái phương pháp luận biến tư duy thiết kế thành công cụ kết nối, hợp tác và cộng tác hiệu quả, bài học thực chiến từ các dự án đa quốc gia giúp cho các bạn có thể định hình được cái bản sắc thiết kế cá nhân của mình. So our main guest today is architect Kai Bierich from Germany. He's a member of Design Advisory Board for the city of Offenburg in Germany, a professional advisor of AXA Architects and founder of Studio Bierich. He's also the former president of Association of German Architects BDA in Stuttgart, as well as a member of this year workshop jury panel. In today's session theme, Design Thinking, architect Kai Bierich will have us better understand how to build an open, accurate, and actionable mind frame even before drawing the very first line. The methodologies to transform design thinking into an effective tool for connection and collaboration, and also practical lessons from cross-border projects that have shaped a personal design identity. Buổi seminar của tụi mình sẽ có hai phần chính. Đầu tiên sẽ là bài thuyết trình của diễn giả, và sau đó là tụi mình sẽ có một cái phần thảo luận và hỏi đáp Q&A phía sau. Thay mặt ban tổ chức xin cảm ơn tất cả các bạn đã dành thời gian để theo dõi chương trình của chúng ta ngày hôm nay. Và trước khi bắt đầu cái buổi chia sẻ ngày hôm nay thì mình xin mời kiến trúc sư Kai Bierich sẽ có đôi lời gửi đến các bạn khán giả đang theo dõi chương trình của tụi mình. Our online seminar today will consist of two main parts, a keynote presentation by our speaker, Kai, followed by a Q&A session. On behalf of organizing committee, I would like to thank you for taking the time to join us today. Before we officially start the presentation, I would like to invite Kai. Could you please say some words and say hello to all the audience?
Yes, thank you, dear students, dear colleague, dear organization committee. To me, it's a great pleasure and a great privilege to welcome you to this workshop and to give me the chance to articulate a little bit my design thoughts. For design thoughts, it is necessary to know a little bit about the designer. So give me 1 minute to introduce myself and the history of my work. I grew up in Hamburg and studied architecture at the Technical High School of Darmstadt. During my studies, I spent 1 year in Boston, USA, where I studied and worked, gaining my first international experience. After completing my diploma, I began my professional career at Bierich and Partner in Stuttgart, where I gained valuable experience on major architectural projects. Later, I became partner at Wolf Architects, together with Tobias Wolf, working on many national and international projects. Alongside architecture, I've always been passionate about painting as an artist. And I also spent 3 years in China as a visiting professor. And altogether, these different experiences have shaped the way I think about architecture design as a dialogue between culture, people, and place. And if you don't mind, I would just start now with some thoughts about design.
Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. A few sentences about design. Design is an art of giving ideas in meaningful form. It connects culture, nature, and human experience to create places that inspire. The best design feels inevitable as it have always belonged there. And therefore, I will show you the first picture. Yeah. I think everybody knows this from Michael Graves. It is a teapot, and it is something which is very important for design. Design combines, to me, 4 elements: always functionality, practicality, attractiveness, and also affordability. So, and to us architects and to us designers, it's very important to achieve this balance. It's not always easy and important to have a very precise view on what is necessary for the specific design. And so I will give you 6 projects in the next 30 minutes to read with me together the different importances about landscape, about history, sometimes about culture, climate, movements means the external movements from traffic, about also the internal movements like in a museum, about light, which is very important even here in Germany, where the light is not that strong as in Vietnam, and of course about the human being, the people. And so I will start with the first project with the Fair Trade Center in Stuttgart, which was partly one of the biggest projects in Germany. This project is deeply rooted in the character of its landscape. Before there were fields, like you see also around it, fields, and also the topology was very important because on the one hand, there were rivers slightly going from the east to the west. That was one thing right here. And that brought us to the orientation in this direction. So all the other participants of the competition, internet competition with 150 officers actually, were going along the motorway here. And we said, okay, it is more useful to have this orientation also regarding the nature, the rivers, everything. But we had the problem that then here the motorway blocked actually the design. And so it was a question to ignore actually the guidelines a little bit. The guidelines they stopped here, and we said, okay, now we want to go over it and orientate the whole design on this stairs. This is about 20 meters, which is quite unnormal for fair trade. Usually fair trades, as you know, also other fair trades, international like Milan, is always 0 and you don't go up and down. So here we are in Baden-Württemberg near Stuttgart. So it's very important actually to regard also the topology. And that brought us to the first sketch, which I did here. And it was going over the highway with this huge wake actually. So we wanted to create something like a park, the green connection between east and west over the highway. And here the orientation of all the fair trade halls and the Congress Center and the 2 entrances in the west and in the east gave us actually the structure for this. So actually this final layout is very simple, but you see here, the 2 fingers of this parking lot is for 4,000 cars done here, is over the highway. Then this is a big hall, this 25,000 square meter, all those 10,000 square meter. And this is a Congress Center with the big plaza in before, which connects the airport. And now you see what we wanted actually to make the parallel situation from here, east-west going to the airport. It has 2 connecting spaces here, 2 connecting possibilities. And that actually brought also the jury on the very end to the opinion that we got the first prize, right? And it was not so easy. It was 150. The second round was 30. And the third round were 3 officers. And on the very end, we were super lucky that we got this because it was, of course, for the office totally movement in another direction. So that is here you see still 3 fingers are going the highway. So, and that is what I thought before, what I told before. It is also the question of affordability. That was too expensive with 3 fingers. And so we put together all the parking lots here in 2 fingers. and reduce the angle a little bit, what you see here on the very end. And then, because that was actually a landscape design, also very important, because the population of this area here was upset about the whole building, and we said, okay, we are doing a lot for in the design for giving back some natural elements. So therefore, we said, okay, this is a rational structure actually with the halls, everything. But we disturb like yin and yang, or like wabi sabi. We disturb this with organic lines, and this organic line was also documented in the shape of the roofs. So you know the bridges or something like a rope, which has a natural, very natural line in the or very shape. And this one we transferred in the design of the roofs of the fair trade halls. Here it was in steel, so which gave a very nice and iconic view to the outside, which is also unique actually to make this totally transparent, which was new for fair trade, because we said, okay, people should also have normal daylight in the halls. And here you see to me, actually a poetic or lyrical side of the fair trade center, which is not usual. Usually you have more black boxes. And a few years later, we had the assignment to doing the hall number 10, because this fair trade exploded actually was questioned a lot. And then we said, okay, what to do? We did not want to actually in the design only to go on with this existing steel structure. So we said, okay, we must follow the form somehow, but we wanted to have a sustainable development in the materiality. And so we used actually this wood, which is now very quested in the calendar of the fair trade. So the other element was this park. Here is very busy, and the halls is super busy while the fair trade. So, and we wanted to have the people going out here and to discuss, to smoke, to have drinks, whatever. So, and like a relaxing zone, which we actually follow here in the parking lot over this motorway. And you see here what could happen here. We had this daylight systems, which I show you later, and some sculptural elements for the daylight also, so, but you see here are different fair trades, and here is somehow calm. Here's water and a good, like pause quality. Now, here you see this in a detail, and also the organic forms, which I mentioned, here also we followed this principle also in the park. Yeah, also now I come a little bit to the materiality. That was some other thought to give only a background, like in a theater, with very rough, authentic materials like concrete, like wood, like glass, like white slabs here, and so. And to have something like a background for this really colored things going on in the fair trade usually. And the only thing which we allowed the designer here, that was done by the office Übele together with us, was this orientation system. So always, if you see, color in this fair trade, it is orientation. It is not architecture. Architecture is always in the background, like wood, like slab here, and like authentic natural materials. There's no lipstick, there's nothing decoration. This is only rough. So I have a background for this really huge event and color things coming up in a fair trade. Yeah, here you see this and as well. The other thing is I told you about the transparency and about the skylight. Both very important to have natural light in the fair trade, and color. If you do some skylights from above, they are 5 times stronger than lateral light. So if you have a window in the same size and give this window to the side, it has this one is 5 times stronger. So we said, okay, why don't we just do all over all some things when we go too deep inside, So then we did some perforation to the sky and gave this natural atmosphere. And it's totally different with this natural light as if you have only this electrical or LED lights here, right? And this was the other thing was the Congress Center. Congress Center. We also wanted to have the roof in a curved way, so in an organic way, but not readable actually as a different form from the Fair Trade Center. And so this roof is coming up here 12 meters. It is from the static is really sportive, so. But why did we do this? Because we wanted actually the central plaza to come here in the building, to have this transition actually is accompanied by this roof, So, and what is the content actually here? Yeah, we have 2 big halls for 3,000 and 2,000 people. And here you see what we did. Actually, we did the seminary rooms back behind the facade, about 6 meters, so. But we did also here a skylight over it to have always lightened atmosphere for the working spaces. And the last thing is the parking lot here for 4,200 cars in this, and actually the following of the park on the roofs, So, and people go here in the middle, and they go directly to the main entrance here in the Fair Trade Center. So it's quite easy, but it did not follow. It ignored actually the guidelines. I told you actually the plot was finished here. But they said this is such a tremendous idea. So, and then we came in a special treatment from the government that we could do the overwhelming this motorway here. And then they needed to have money, so they rented out for Bosch company. This one gave about, I think, 15 million euro for 10 years having this one. And because it was so quite expensive, more than a usual one. And so it is the biggest advertising actually after Hollywood. Hollywood letters in USA. They are like this one 15 meters, we have here 12 meters. So yeah, it is just a run story. But you see also in the nighttime, it is something like an iconic symbol for Stuttgart. If you come from Munich to Stuttgart, you always see this parking lot at the very beginning. And that makes this building also famous and so. And this other thing is we have the ICE, which is a fast train here underneath. And we have 8 traces from the motorway underneath too. Yeah. Okay, so far. And if you want to have some intermediate question, please go to the committee and give them a sign, because maybe later the question is forgotten. But if not, I go to the next building, which is an office building actually, and also there that was not only creating actually an office building monumental. Our intention was here to design a place that encourage communication and creates strong connection between the institution, the city on our side, which we sit here, and the landscape in behind. And the landscape in behind, that was this facade. You see here the U shape, and you see here something which looks bizarre. This is a vineyard. This is one of the last vineyards in Stuttgart where they definitely produce wine yet. So we said, okay, it is like an egg. It is hard to the city and it's soft and open to this vineyard thing. And yeah, and here you see actually this is road. This is a city here, and they go up here and climb up like the first step to the vineyard, go to the vineyard and can use this vineyard, other employees here, right? And this is a U shape. So, and also here we needed actually a huge covered space. So we did this top lights here, the skylights, which belongs to the grammar of Wolf Architects, that we have natural light in the interior somehow. Yeah, this is the vineyard you see. There's still existing grapes here, so, and even a little house which belongs to this project, so. And now you see what I told you, this U shape and direction here, very open, very complete different facade, which we have seen on the beginning, right? This was the facade on the beginning you see here. It is totally different from the facade which we have here, right? Because this is like an egg, one side hard and inside it is soft, right? And you go out here and then climbing the vineyards. And the inside here, you see the skylight again, so, and also the things of material, very authentic materials, so only what you see is wood, not lipstick, nothing colored. And so only color, again, where you need orientation. So you come in, and if you want to see where your seminary room is or whatever, you just look at these colors. Of course, this is the first view, And this is the foyer, actually the entrance hall. And this one is totally, you can move beside, and then you have this huge space, and you can integrate also the entrance hall into huge public space. Yeah, here you see the seminary rooms and the only colors in the whole building, which are used from the orientation designer, right? Yeah, here are colors, normal colors in the rooms before the offices, to wait here. And here the ceiling is actually concrete ceiling with some acoustics, slabs like made out of foam, which reduce the acoustic, the noise here. Okay, next is the GFT headquarter in Stuttgart. That was a totally different building from the others because there was already an existing building out of limestone, which you see here, so. And there I had to explain a little bit. That was the existing building, so, which was also on the level of 150 higher than this road going here. So they wanted for handicapped people also, that you go in with a ramp or something or with an elevator. Then the second was the car space, and we used actually this car space to design our first building here, which was a cantina, a restaurant, something like this. And we wanted to have some garden because it's a software company here, and they wanted to have people sitting outside, so, and using their laptops and also working there. And again, we perforated here in the roof, huge openings, one is really opening, so the rain comes in, and this one is internal opening. And then we set something like a glass in before to fit in here in this to have this connection with the inside ramp and with the elevation tower here. And so this one is the result, so this one is what I told you, the glass here, the ramp inside, so, and in behind the restaurant, the cantina, and here a huge space which allows them also to sit under the roof actually while working in and if it's not raining, of course. So this is the ramp, and the client did some art things here. So you had a nice aim actually to go there, and then you turn to the left and you go in the building. So, and also here you see we used only the concrete here and wood upstairs. Here you see the opening in the roof and the gathering of the people, restaurant here, and here they sit later. And there was a second thing to implement some greenery in this. And why did we do this introverted and internal thing? Because outside that was so ugly other buildings that we said, okay, the orientation must be totally to the inside, to themselves. and outside we don't see. So there's no window, nothing to this actually surrounding there. And they have this inner world here. This is upstairs. So you see the existing building. We moved away all the ceilings here and did the concrete columns, cleaned up the concrete columns, and we implemented only glass, wood, some really slightly elements which do not disturb, which going in a dialogue a little bit with this old thing, you know, like here. And also here at art pieces that was really a good, yeah, how to say, supplementary thing to the architecture. Yeah. Okay, that is, yeah, it was already number 4, the GFT headquarters. Also, you can check in the website if you want later, give you the address. And then there was another thing near the Fair Trade Center, which was a parking lot. And actually, not a so super task for an architect, but we said, okay, it was more than a place to park cars. The ambition was to create an iconic gateway building that strengthens the identity of Stuttgart Airport while fulfilling several urban functions with a single architecture volume. And this, in the basement, there were buses, you know, buses for going in the region here. And upstairs, there were 5 stores for the cars. And this one, we told the airport, why don't you do this pedestrian bridge here, you know, somehow and connect to the airport? And that gave a huge yeah, impact on the renting of this building, because that is very favorized by people, because they just go out of the car here and they go here directly to the airport. It's very was good. What is iconic here? Of course, the facade. The facade consists of folded metal panels whose geometry is inspired by the precision and craftsmanship of the automotive industry. You know, so inside auto cars, so outside this actually relationship to the automotive industry, in natural reference to Stuttgart also, because Stuttgart has Mercedes-Benz, Daimler, has Porsche, has Bosch, so they are using metal, you know. So we said, okay, but we wanted to do it in an architectural strong form, and also allowing to get the light in to make it more efficient actually than a normal facade against rain, because rain was not the problem. But we needed something like a facade, and facade comes from the word face. Face is the how is the face of the building, and this means is the facade. And everybody knows in Stuttgart, if you talking about P14, it is okay. This is the one at the airport, and with a folded metal facade, which is, if you look in this crooked way, nearly closed, you know. So, but if you get from inside to outside, totally different. It is more, you know, like a transparent skin a little bit, you know, and you see the other things around, but through the skin. So this is outside, this is inside, you know. So yeah, to have this natural light, of course. We didn't want to close the facade, because then you would have needed some LED and light things and so. And this one, yeah, we placed this facade on this one. It's very similar. We did a building which was in Cologne, and this is like a fish, a little bit like a skin of the fish, you know, the same principle as before, not folded but added one by one, you know. So and did this same things as getting the light in, and from inside to outside you could read. And it was an iconic, very iconic building also at the Cologne airport, near the Cologne airport. So same principle, but totally different in detail. But that is something to use, design. If you find a principle, no need to do it one by one in the same way. But if you think, yeah, why could I not use, or from my whole history, from all my life, the experience you can use, but in a different way, no problem. No. Yeah, now we go to China with international. There was Chongqing. Chongqing, nobody knows, but everybody should know because it's the biggest town of the world. It is about 35 million people. It's really big. So, and a lot of international architects, like here Moshe Safdie. Some of you might know this building, which has here the connections. It is really like utopia. It is something like in the 22nd century, and the whole time is still growing up and like a megapolis city. And we had the chance to have a few projects there, and I show you one which is typical for this town is the topology. So it is a very hilly topology. Yeah, you don't see so well, but in the background you see a little bit the mountains on the left side. So, and this hillside is now occupied from the whole city. And in this hillside, we were asked to build a shopping mall and housing, and made the proposal to deal with the topology in the basement, actually, or in the first 5 stores a little bit, and then upstairs in a little distance with offices and dwellings and apartments. So yeah, here you see in this section actually. Yeah. And yeah, and then the second was this it was a dialogue between architecture and landscape a little bit, but also they wanted, of course, this microclimate with 35 million people and a huge density of building. You might know from Ho Chi Minh City or from Hanoi.
Giống hệt Mai Linh.
Also,
Đấy. Kiểu vì cái câu đầu tiên sao biết nó bố mẹ nó sẽ là câu gì?
Oh, sorry, Mordecai, your mic is mute.
okay. So the future will bring us more tasks about greenery of buildings and to implement this sustainability topics. So, and it is a significant reduce actually of the urban heat by creating this greenery here on the facade, and therefore we won this competition. There was only five offices, but as so many projects in China, you get the competition and you win, but then they don't realize later on, or in a different way, there are different investors, different tasks, and so we got to get used to it. Because in Germany, you have a competition, you win the competition, and then you are asked to build it, to realize a project. It's different in China. But anyway, for us, it was a huge experience with this. So, wie geht's nicht mehr weiter da? Yeah. Give us a minute, okay? Yeah. So, again, Malaysia, and I have to give me 1 second, has a tropical climate within high temperature, humidity throughout the year, but its landscape range from coastal plains to dense rainforests and cooler mountain regions and desert. And these totally different climate zones have a strong influence on architecture. So you have totally different architecture in Malaysia. From town Kuala Lumpur, it has a strong, the climate has a strong influence, requiring buildings to provide shade, natural ventilation, protection from heat or from heavy rainfall. And then our outlet city, it was an outlet city, means, you go there, it is a little bit, show you later, like a bazaar. So this was actually set in a part of the desert, so, and how to deal in the desert. So we were looking first for the landscape, of course, the forms a little bit we analyzed, and then, but also if you go shopping, if you buy, you have this so-called bazaar in Saudi Arabia, in Malaysia, and so. Why is it so? Why does it look so? Because it's super hot, you need to be covered. So, and has also some interior courts, so which give a little bit light. And you have this kind of domes, yeah, And if you go in this bazaar, so you have different like compartments, like boxes from 5 to 5 or from 3 to 3 to 10 to 10 meters and so. And therefore, we were looking to those three actually topics and said, okay, we do a grid something over it, so, and we do some hotspots, in this, like internal spaces, because the whole thing is like a little city. It is working also like a little city, and do some hotspots and do the circulation on the right side here around it, so, and then we give space so you can rent this one, you can rent this one, a smaller one, or you can rent houses or whatever, so, but always with the idea to have some public spaces here also. And then the question was, yeah, okay, how to realize this in architecture? And so we said, okay, this culture actually in the desert, they're coming from the house form of a tent, of a tent. And so, yeah, here you see the boxes, how they work a little bit. Also, you have 2-store boxes and so, so. And then we said, okay, we rent it. We do the tent over it, something like a shadow giving and rain against rain, some tissue which is overall and gives them also a common identity. So it is a town in itself, but everybody has his own identity by products, by design or whatever, So yeah, and this is the result then. You see here the forms we're going also here, and people actually are supposed to go up here a little bit. Also here, so you see the top lights, which we always do, so in this one. And it's something like an outdoor room, it's not indoor. It is the same as the bazaar. Bazaar also has this light, these domes upstairs and courtyards. So it is walking in the daily normal situation, like on a road, actually. So, and then having here whatever Boss and some shops and so on. Yeah, here Puma and so. There were only samples for us. And so, and this was the name of the shop. So you go in, but you don't even feel when you go in when you are inside outside. So it's only a covered road, which is a bazaar, So yeah, that was maybe the proof for contextual building also. And the last I show you is a Shijiazhuang Airport, which is actually one of the biggest airports beside the Beijing airport in China. Beijing airport, if there's happening a huge accident or terrorism or something, so they asked the Shijiazhuang to overtake the responsibility for a supplementary airport there, and it is something like a strategic relief airport for Beijing metropolitan region, because it's from national importance to have always a running airport system in China, of course. And so they made also the international competition. Unfortunately, Norman Foster won this. We had the second prize, and we didn't have a chance to realize it. And then Norman Foster on the very end won and realized it. But it was interesting to show you how we carefully studied the surrounding and I mean there were always about 15 offices, and we did the second prize. It was not so bad also. So we studied the landscape, the urban development there, and the cultural context very precisely before we did the first things. I mean, I show the result in before, but only to give you give you an influence. It was actually here the existing airport, so, and the existing urban surrounding. And this is our new design on this one, and you see here also the extension possibility. So you make this one again here, and so on. And then you have something like a railway inside. So, but it is more interesting how you go there. So what they did, the Chinese guys, so because they're always building like this, they just put this in totally or against, not in the urban development in the farmers and landscape structure east-west, really hard and rough. And we said, okay, maybe our task as a designer is a little bit to come back to the old form, to the old orientation, to the old directions. And so we said it is something in between. So we said, okay, we respect, of course, this landway, this system here for the circulation of all the airport all the flights, but we need something which also is oriented on these old structures. So that was the first sketch here, the first idea. Yeah, and then you see it is somehow combining both directions. So we were healing in a way, something which was destroyed, and I think everybody could read it, that there's something which we respected, respected the old thing, and now orientation, of course, we needed to overtake the new highway there. And that was the idea for the form. The crane is the king of the sky, actually. And if you reduce actually the picture of the crane, which is the huge bird, you come a little bit to this form. So, and crane is a symbol for flying. Next was the calligraphy, the Chinese lettering. This one is a human being which is running. So this is head, this is legs. The arms you don't have. So, but this was also a sign, and if you reduce, also you come to this new sign. So means we wanted to integrate, to respect somehow the human being in this whole form. So as a reference to what's going on in the airport, it's made for human being. So. Yeah, again, this form. And then the third thought was they needed a lot of 10,000 or more car space, So, and we didn't want to actually to put some, like in Stuttgart or in Frankfurt, around the airport, the car parks, but we wanted to hide it. And the typical movement in this province from the sea is actually given by this topology a little bit, So, and then you have this topology here, and we were hiding the whole structure in this beginning thing. So we reduced also the total height of the airport because we wanted to integrate somehow in this nice landscape also. So it has a double function, integrate the car parks and to reduce the dominance from the height, So. Yeah, this one is a result. Also there we did again, we cut it in skylights to have the natural light system here. And you see it is somehow embedded now in this new landscape, which we actually overtook from the existing landscape a little bit. So, and then the number 4 was the implementation of the flower system, which is actually in Hebei province in China, and we reduced the flowers to this totally pattern, and the very end geometrical pattern, and put it on the facade. So to have the same thing, some daylight system, so, and some only metal system. Also coming up from the surrounding, from the context. People who go there, they can find somehow, okay, it is coming from my culture, from my context, and put this in. And here you see that we put it, of course, overall, over the roof and over the facade, the whole building, and gave natural light. Number 5 was, they have in this culture, in this Hebei province culture, they color glass from inside, and so we said, why don't we somehow bringing a reference to this idea inside of a vessel or of a design piece here, the inside view. And we did, okay, we have two colors. The one was outside. We were talking about this flower system, and inside we said there could be some nice, like colors and from this principle which we have seen in the vessels. And this is now the result of both. So inside there's from above you see the lights, and inside there are some drawings and so on. Yeah. Yeah, and the last is this, of course, we were asked to have modern technology, and we did all the stuff, from all your designs, so we went to the Earth thing, and we did sunlight here and did implemented photovoltaic elements in the glass, and this is done, of course, by a engineer like Transolar. And he said, okay, where is the maximum temperature and where we have to put more panels on it and so on. That was for the ongoing, actually, a good way also to show sustainable design and not only facade design. Facade design today must always be together, of course, with some ideas, Yeah, maybe a sentence on the end. In the past, architecture often focused primarily on function and appearance. Today, our design process is much more conceptual and holistic, integrating sustainability, cultural identity, and long-term impact of buildings and people and environment. And every project begins in our office with understanding the place, the people, the unique story behind the task, the context, of course, because meaningful design is about creating lasting value rather than simple constructing buildings or showing facade. Thank you.
Thank you, Kai. Wow, it's such a huge information. I mean, like through all the references and the projects that you show up in your presentation, we can see that the design have too many language and there's too many meaningful thoughts around in a project. But well, let me buy the people some time to ask you a question. May us just talk a little bit about your feeling when you know that we have the workshop with the subject, the topic is Eureka. So what do you think about that, and what is really for you a Eureka in design, especially in architecture, in like urban planning?
I mean, I'm always telling the story about Albert Einstein. If I hear the Eureka, you all know that he was searching his super formula, so which on the very end gave also the impact for the nuclear whole development in the world. And he was working. Then he said, "Okay, I have to go on vacation now. It is too much to me." And then he went to a beach in the northern Germany and was running there. He was already 70 or something, I think. He was running with a stick, with a wooden stick. So. And then when he was standing there, suddenly he was engraving in the sand MC square, which was the formula which brought the whole world actually on the very end. It is not so complicated, no? So, but you need a lot of effort to go to reach this simplicity or this this contextual connecting with your task, and that is same thing, you have to do a lot of research. I think everybody does not sketch immediately today, but you need research to prepare your Eureka moment and going, and then you put on some stones and put them together, and you rethink the whole thing. And on a point, you have to focus to prioritize on one of the things: context, climate, sustainability, form sometimes, so, yeah, whatever. And then you say, this is something, I go for it. And that is, in this moment, it is your eureka moment in a way. And you have to follow this. There are always a lot of different rationalities and possibilities, but you have to go one, of course. So, and that one, I can also only recommend to everybody to listen a little bit about his inner intuition in this moment. You have to research, but in this moment, you have to go to your intuition and a little bit. I mean, I'm 35 years architect now. To me, it's not. I smell it already. If something is going, and I say, okay, we go this way. So, and this is the eureka moment, which you whole your life prepare, and which, yeah, will accompany you till you die, I think.
Mhm. Nice. Well, thank you so much. Here we have Dai, which is just raising his hand. Maybe I just, yeah, back to you, Dai.
Hi. First of all, thank you for the presentation. I think it's a very well made presentation, and I really enjoy how you explain the projects, and it really show a lot of like the design thinking behind you and your team, the effort that you guys put in. And I really love how you are able to balance very well between like artistic sense and rational thoughts. Um, to your point, first sketch on the first project, I think there's something very poetic about it. Like you think about architecture in a very systematic way. You lay out the function, you think about the authenticity of the materials, but then you still have a sense of poetic into the language and the context that you mentioned. And I think the context is really a winning point for every single project that you work on. It shows how much of understanding of the culture, the people, and the site that y'all working. And I really appreciate that. And I think to your point about Eureka, I think the first sketch that you always show in every single project is the Eureka. That's first idea, that first instant that you're like, okay, this is it. This is what we're going for. And then the process and the post rationalization after that, it's just like the branch off of that. But I think my question would be like in the process of iterations and uh, designing that first sketch, how do you continue to keep the first idea intact? Because through iteration, we would lose a sense of like where we start. I guess like, do you have any suggestion, any tips on that?
I think it starts with not with the first sketches. It starts a little earlier, because what you're talking about is actually this. Yeah, there are always, in every place contains visible and invisible layers, and you have to find the invisible layers first, and then it starts actually, to me, with listening, with understanding, with asking, not with designing itself, so. And yeah, always also to think, and so, and it is not, you cannot measure it, and you cannot totally go by analyze. You have to think, where can you bring in, and now that was also part of your question, where can you bring in your personality, your personal design idea? And that is always important, to have this poetic background a little bit, to identify things in this process, which research, blah, 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 everything, so. And what point you can bring in your thing, so like organic forms, or some break, or some wabi-sabi things, some material things, and so. And therefore, I think it is important. It's important to see the visible, and to identify the invisible layers very precisely, and to listen always in the background could there be anything which I can follow also in a poetic way as an architect and not only rational? Because there are several actually rational principles always possible, so this is not only one, the Fair Trade Center could be totally different. And so what you have to say, okay, this is my part. I want this organic, I want transparent, I want light structure for this design. Why? Because there's a lot of resistance of people, and they maybe they don't want the machine, they want something lyrical, poetical, and so. But next time the IHK, the building, so they said, okay, must be urban and cannot use this one from the Fair Trade Center. There must be urban and the two facade, the one is Vineyard, the other is the Stuttgart city, so. Maybe it is, like your glasses, it is something which is on this side and another is on this side, then if you recognize those things, those second layers in a way, so the invisible layers, I think that is, I want to encourage you to hear also what could that be, and this is not only always a rational process. I mean, this one rational process. This one, it looks totally rational, but it is not on the very end. You are the one who says, okay, I want to do the whole, and the whole is not symmetrical, it's somehow different, and so at what point of design you go for your personal thing and you encourage yourself to go for it, so, and not to follow only the rational. This one is for client, super, because client has no ideas, but the client, you always are requested in front of the client to have some rational principles. Therefore, I did this, and so, but in the background, you are going with your design ideas, and that is very important to have both. One face to the client shows rational principles, but in the background, you are translating this in your personal things. And that is, I wanted to encourage to find this, invisible layers, this second system, which is only you as Bill Lee, to go for it, and then people will see on the very end, so that it is that they love you because you did this design, your personal design, and not this which could all over and which you see in the magazines, So therefore, I'm always also the employees, I said, don't go so much for magazines and internet, So just look for the task. You have to find it by yourself. And if you see nice designs by Big or Snowhatter or so, well, always look for the specific, really unique moment in this design process, which is saying, okay, there we turn to the right, or there we turn to the other right direction, Yeah, it is a longer answer to your question, sorry, but needs design is not so easy. Yeah.
No, I think it makes sense. And I guess they're trying to understand. I mean, because I used to work for Snowheader, so I understand the process behind understanding the invisible layers. But for you, though, what's your methodology to discover that? I know, like you mentioning like hearing and listening, but do you have like a process that you go through to get there, right? Because I mean, I still think, to my point, your sketch is the eureka to all that, finding invisible layers and feeling and listening.
I mean,
Like I try to get like is there like a method behind your thinking? Like I try to get into that brain, I guess that's what I'm trying to get. But
I mean, no, if it is a little different if you design a house for someone, a friend or family or whatever, So if you go for designs for competition, and if you design competition, of course you have to go for a spectacular form also a little bit, So and to look for the chance when and what time can you go for the spectacular form, So and then if you find a spectacular form, if you sketch it, by yourself, still I'm sketching with pencil. I told you I'm also artist, and so I'm able to formulate my thoughts. To me, it's no problem, but other are going for rhino or whatever, grasshopper, blah, blah. There's only tools, It is no matter. But I'm going with my pencil, and then of course, I'm looking at what time I can go for this more specific or spectacular form. Spectacular is a little, and then I said, okay, afterwards, of course, I try to cause it a little bit, you know. So I said, okay, I did this. Why? Or I did it because this one and this one and this one, you know. This is obvious. It is the name of the game, you know. It is a storytelling, you know. And then first you sketch it, and then you fall in love with your own design thing, and then you said, okay, I have to find arguments and notes for giving it to the client or to the jury, you know. So yeah.
Nice.
Thank you.
Well, I think that I will let Juan, who is also one of our mentors this year, to like give you a question.
Yeah, actually, I don't have the question, but I want to say something. Hi, everyone. I'm Juan, architect from Stuttgart, also, like Kai. And first, thank you, Kai, for accepting our invitation and for your very interesting lecture today. I think I have talked with you many times about architecture before, and you are actually the person who advised me on a few successful projects when I was a student. That's a lot of things, but today is the first time I have heard a full professional talk from you. It's very interesting and very inspired me. But follow the question of I want to say something that's as after hearing what Kai said today and seeing your project, I remember that you told me this architecture does not begin with the building, it's begin with the collection. So what is his plate and who will use it, and what his memory already exists, or what should the people feel, and how can architect improve everyday life? So, and I think the asking good questions and solving them well is also an art of architecture. And it's like how we define the problem of the project and set its directions. And sometimes what makes a project more interesting and meaningful is simply the way we choose the frame of the questions. And after many years working in the sustainable design, we have added a few more questions like how does nature feel, and how can architectures help improving the living environment for natures? And it's quite interesting topic because nowadays we're talking about this is a topic everywhere in Germany and there are other words. So that's why what I want to only say does. And thank you, Kai, again, and you can keep the interview again. Thank you.
Hey, thanks, Juan.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get to the next. So we have Hai. She's an architect in Hanoi now, and she's also one of our very, very, very special organizer. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Yi, and thank you, Kai, for your presentations. I am very impressed with the projects that you have been through and your experience. So my questions for you today is, like people nowadays, young architects and junior architects, they talk a lot about their sustainable design and also energy efficiency. But however, like my questions is, green solutions always require higher costs and higher investment. So about our client, their primary concern is always about maximizing their profit and also shortening their payback periods. And then from your experience, and that you have leaded like a lot of major projects, how you balance or how you convince your client with the goal of sustainable and also their requirement.
It might be easier in Germany, because we have already super hard requirements in terms of sustainability and green architecture design. And I give you an example for Stuttgart. Actually, if you go for a flat roof, you cannot do without greenery, which costs 1.3 more actually as a usual roof. So this is quite easy. And then you say, okay, it's not my fault, dear client. We are in Stuttgart, and so that is the easy way actually. And Germany is one of the countries which have so many regularments, so it is grown up in the last 50 years, so, and each year they're coming more and more and more. And part of them are the green building design requirements and so. But that was not your question. I always was building in China and so, and then to say, okay, where is the more value for you as I mean this microclimate? Then of course the your image. Your for your company, the image is nowadays green worldwide. If you don't go for green in a little bit, then you are not requested anymore, So this is where you can deal with as a young architect. You say, you want to be actually hip or not? So then we have to go for this way. This is would be an argument, So, and another argument is just you feel better in a building which has clay walls, which has wooden structure inside, So we were building. I have a Vietnamese wife, so sitting beside me. So we were building one house in a Lake Constance, which is a nice interior lake. So we used only natural materials, and it is definitely so you sleep better, you live better, So, and in this way, this one you have to transmit as an architect. I mean, this is not your. It is actually not architecture task, it's communication task in a way, So, and but to commit this client that there's a responsibility also in his role as a client, as a money giving person, to make a better world in a way. That would I answer, So yeah. Yeah, I have a funny story for you. On the end, we were building in China, in Beijing, for a company. And then we said, okay, they are really, it was for apartments and so, so, and as I said, we need earth and we need solar panels, we need photovoltaic, and we need this, blah, blah, blah. I think it was 10 things, So, and then we were working with Werner Sobeck. Werner Sobeck is climate engineer and the static engineer here, very famous and so, and bringing the whole catalog, how to do it and everything. And then they said, okay, please make us calculation. And we did the calculation as you asked before, so it was, of course, much more expensive. And then they said, okay, you know what we do? We only do the measurement instruments on the very end that we did this, but we don't do this, So and then for the climate, better climate areas, and they had these panels and running things with lettering and so, but it was fake, So, and I mean, this one you cannot do anymore. This is 10 years, 12 years behind, So, but now it's not possible anymore. You have to do the real things, and the boss of Huang, which we're talking before, the one of the committee, he was in DGNB, that is German Society for Green Building Environment. And they have a huge impact on the chambers in Germany even, so, and you have to follow some rules of them. So here it is already, so done what you ask, how to commit to the client. Here it's already easier because you say, well, we need to follow the rules, so. Okay.
Yeah, I understand your answer. Yeah, basically, like in Hanoi, we are changing a lot. Like, it's like a huge construction place in Hanoi. We have a big change, and we have like 100 years plan in the futures. So, I understand your answer is it's more about the government. They need to put on the rule, so people have to follow it. There's no way they can do if they don't follow the rule.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Then it's easier, so.
Yes.
But it should be actually coming from the soul and from the heart of the investor itself, who makes really things better, so yeah.
Yes. And then also the community, like if they have more need, more requirement on their living style, they want greenery, they want to have better lifestyle, they also need to give their voice to the government. So they push their egg in the future. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next one is Ryan Vĩnh. He's also one of our mentors this year, and well, he actually working in China now, in Narian Hill office. So I think that you should present yourself and ask the question.
Mit mir da ist, oder? Ne? Nicht, ich dachte, er ist in Pascal.
Oh,
Hi.
hello. Hello. My name is Ryan. Thank you so much for the lecture. I have two observations and two questions following. But the first observation I have to ask you, because I'm not so sure. Did you present your project kind of chronologically backwards, like the project you presented first, or the project that more recently built, and the ones that you presented later were designed earlier?
It was a mixed actually. So the Fair Trade Center is the oldest one, you're right. But then it started to get mixed on the very end. But I would say the GFT is the recent one, so the dialogue between old and new, and then the Malaysia is timeless in a way. So this one I would say also is very still I would do like this, so that is in the background of your question actually, how whether it fits somehow in a special time channel. Yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
Because something interesting during your lecture was I was hearing that you were saying the first few projects you were really stressing that the materiality and the construction is very honest and no lipstick and no colors. And as the projects move on, you started to not mentioning that.
Yeah.
I kind of want to know if that's conscious on your part or something shift, because I was suspecting it was the time of the project's design a bit different in your life. And
It is
then
like
the
this.
second,
No.
oh,
You are
okay.
right. You're right. You're totally right. This time is a little bit over, to show only the authentic materiality of the material, So that was something between, I think 10 and 16, 17. And then newer things are not so considering anymore only the material authenticity, but also other things. Totally right. Yeah.
Oh, okay. And then the second observation is I realized you didn't show probably any physical models picture at all. So I'm gonna ask, how do you study your form making and your decision making? I understand that you use sketches a lot, but at some point, do you think about the physicality of the project and how did you study it? Did you use physical model at all, or if you do, then may I ask why you didn't show any?
Yeah, I mean, I was grown up in the Danish philosophy, so, and the Danish philosophy says already 20 years ago, every design has to be proved by a model, so, and in those days there were cardboard, everything, so, and I didn't show, the process, but even the Fair Trade Center, we were building, I think, 10 or 12 models, so for the competition, huge things and a lot of effort and so. And I mean, now I'm working or I'm doing this job for design in Frankfurt, Ing.Architects, so, and then of course we are printing models, so, but still printing has the disadvantage that you cannot break it, so, and play with this. So this one, to me, is super important also to play with the material and everything, because this one sketch, you can only the idea, the Eureka idea, let's say like this, so, but then you have to transfer it in physical 3D model, otherwise it can't get approved, it's totally different sometimes. And so, and therefore I'm not so happy with this. It is a tool. To me, it makes no difference whether an employee is building out of cardboard or printing. But printing, I don't like so much, because it's if we print, we do only the pre-printing things and put it together by ourselves, and not the final one. This is for the end final solution. Okay, you can print or not, So, but I like the instruments to manual. If you don't do a manual in a way, then it gets gets not the ghost, the heart, the soul of a design, and therefore model, to answer your question, model, it's super important. Without model, no first prize, never. No, so yeah. And better the model which you can deal with, so in the working process, in the design process, because we are thinking about thinking design, design thinking. To me, it's not interesting the product. To me, interesting is a process. That means product process. It is, totally different. Two poles, actually. Yeah.
Thank you for your answer. So let's get next to Tom. Tom is also one of our organizer, and yeah, you know he well. He architect in Paris. So yeah, Tom, just go ahead.
So hello everyone. So hello Kai. So just really inspiring your presentation, and also we have some moment before to discuss about the architecture and about everything. So my question, I would love to connect your approach to the theme of this workshop. We wrote about Archimedes and the Eureka moment. So in our workshop, we teach that the true Eureka is not a sudden stroke of genius, but how to say, the organizing the results, exploring the invisible of the 90% of the iceberg, the cultural, ecological, and historical context. So your philosophy of the identity through the search imply embracing this exactly kind of ambiguity. So across your project, where the build, unbuild, or still on the paper, how do you manage the psychological uncertainty of this deep dive phase? Furthermore, it's an industry controlled by strict deadline and commercial pressure. How do you know when you have truly struck the core of the problem, and how do you know when you find your eureka moment? So yeah, this is my question. Yeah.
You mean that actually the time where you go to the right or to the left side? You mean so? I mean, competition we usually have 8 weeks, so sometimes 10 weeks. So, and we have a very precise schedule, in 4 weeks is for research, when you have to have your idea. Otherwise, if the idea is not chargeable enough, we skip the competition, then another one. It is then better 4 weeks done as 10 weeks for the whole team. Totally distract, so this one is about the time, so, and of course, if you go usual assignment, a normal assignment, it is not that hard because it does depend, sometimes we finance small project with a big project. So in the time the trade center was running, there was a huge fee volume, which you got, so, and of course we had an employee who only did actually the main weeks, not months, but we did it in weeks, how many weeks we can afford in this phase, because we have this 8 phases in Germany, so for the preliminary design, for the research and blah, blah, blah. So, and therefore, some projects are financed from other projects. And then we say, okay, like GFT. GFT was a very hard businessman but we wanted to have this assignment because we were smelling the chance actually to realize a super nice building beside it after we won the competition. And then there's something called controller in companies like his company. And he's used to think like this. And the controller was always, why do you do this? And what is the function for us? And so it was really hard. And I needed sometimes kidding him a little bit and say this is and then and so, and to hide. But it was to us as an office very, very anstrengend, very, how to say, very too long, so much too long, the whole process. But you said, okay, there's another project. But usually, and you ask for the yeah finance background, so as far I understood, then you have to say, okay, this is 4 weeks, this is 2 weeks, and you have to press your eureka moment a little bit, So by also you can have 1 year for the eureka moment. That would be nice, and you research everything, but you're always also forced as an architect to think in an economical way about your work and your design, not only about poetic thoughts, both, So it is something you were asked for.
Oh yeah. I think it's quite clear for me. Yeah, and pragmatic and also practical and in the architecture. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's just me say pardon for Khoa and Tùng. I would like to invite Andy to pose to pose the question first. Can you please open your mic, Andy?
Hello. Hello,
Hello.
Mr. Kai. Hello, everybody. My name is Andy. I'm one of the contestants of this workshop this year. And my question is, across different projects in various countries you have, so what do you find the most challenging in balancing your personality, identity, and the cultural identity of the country? That so is there like a win-win solution, or we should sacrifice one of them? Thank you.
Yes. Hard question. No, I think, it is not an iconic self-expression architecture. It is not, so, and therefore, we did search in Malaysia, in India, in China, in Vietnam, in Russia. I did not show you things in Russia, so it is actually the overall view which you get on the end, and no matter which language, which culture, actually, you have to ask yourself, what is meaningful for your design concept? Are there social, economical, or ecological aspects? So in this one, actually, you can or you need to do in every new environment, but this new environment does educate you a lot. So always once we did a design in Alaska. It was only minus 30 degrees. So and they asked us. They had already the design for this container, which were observing things, scientists and students and working groups, and so they had already actually the technical things, but they said we need to do something for the design, and then we were thinking about this rough environment and cold environment, and also this gave us a new aspect. So I think each task, you have to contribute to the culture, to the context and everything. So, and I cannot say this one or the other one. I mean, to be serious, which educated myself a lot was 7 years Fair Trade Center, of course. So that was a 1 billion euro project, so, and there were working 45 people on it, so of course, if you do it such a long time, you need each detail on the very end. You need each wording, each client, each engineer, and so on. This was coining, of course. You can say this one, and you will have also your coining project, your biggest one, which is doing a lot with yourself. So, okay, if you ask this one, that was of course the Fair Trade Center. So, but a lot of experience. I would say it is equivalent. It is not. It is always the feasibility in this country. It is super interesting to research. So yeah.
Thank you, Kai. Well, let's just have a quick question from Khoa. He's also an architect from Paris. Please go ahead.
Yes, hello Kai.
Yeah.
Thank you for your master class. I think I myself I learned a lot about the processes of the conception, and I have a fast question about the technical aspect of your project, because I have the impression that at the same time the project is oriented in both a human and a very technical way, and I think like the way that you can achieve this kind of balance is thanks to the optimization and also the mastery of all the technical aspect, I can say. And how do you think about, like, for example, working not in Germany but working in a different context, and we don't have such mastery of technical aspect, and so does it aspect kind of like influence your way of designing, your way of thinking? And the second question is that, like, for example, for our workshop of Nhẫn, do you think that, like, the participants they should think a little bit more about the realization of the project, or now we can a little bit more free and without restriction? Yes, thank you.
Uh, the second question, I got the first one, not so much. We have to talk about this later, but it was actually the workshop for the Eureka that is not at all somehow realistic thing, but it is the same words as I told before. To me, it is product or process. What is interesting for us, actually, and the mentors actually, is a process to come to the Eureka moment, and it's a super nice process, or to follow the process as well as doing the process by yourself, so and you will test when will I get this moment, and to somehow this is the main question for each designer, whether you're designing a teapot like Michael Graves or like Charles Eames, some nice furniture. When do I get this, and you approve a lot of things, technical things, so, and the feasibility and the contextual backgrounds and this one is in the whether it's realistic or not, it's to us, I think one is not so important, right? And but if you can document the process until this Eureka moment, I think that would be a huge quality for your personal work in this workshop, and to be able to tell us this story later, and to give us a chance to participate on this story. I think that was in the evaluation also at the 6th of September. I think it is the evaluation. That would be super nice, and not to see one other of thousands products, so, but the first thing, the first question, you had two questions. Can you repeat in a few words your
Yeah, if you may, if I may, I can like rephrase this in a more specific way. Is that, like, I had impression that, like, we see your project in a different context, like in Germany, in China, in Malaysia, and what I can see that, like it has a different way of working, because I imagine, like, you work with the engineer, and for the roof of the expo, it's a totally different level of skill in condition to other project in China, or in condition to other project in Malaysia, for example. So my question is that, like, as you say, like, to be able to have this eureka moment in your processes of thinking, do you think about, like the possibility or the limitation of the context, to say that, can I build a building like this, or do you just processing and then maybe figure it out later?
I the Chinese say that they don't pay for your integral design, unfortunately. So you have to do it on your own pay list. If you work with an engineer, static engineer, everything, so, or climate engineer like Werner Sobe, so they don't pay, unfortunately. In German, you're from the first moment in the competition, if some of you doing competition, you know, in Germany, it is not possible to go yourself. It is always team, so, and the team requests some organization things, some dominance, some prioritizing things. And so this one we don't had in Malaysia, unfortunately. So we had to ask our static guy in Germany. And actually that's what they want actually in Malaysia, India, China, and so on, that you are working with your guys first in the preliminary design. Later, of course, they got it, so-called Design Institute, and they work with this and they earn money with this, with your ideas. But the ideas, once Bierich was in the Bundestag in Germany, and I had the chance as a little guy with, I don't know, 20 years or something, I was still studying, or 22, and I was going to the Bundestag, the parliament, and he actually showed his design, so, and then one guy was asking, actually on the very end, Mr. Bierich, how much you get for this preliminary design? And then he said, I don't know, 150,000 euros or something, so. And then he said, this is tremendous. So, and then he said, with 5% thinking at the first moment, I get 90% sometimes of a whole project, because the design is, or the thought, or eureka moment is so good that we economize a lot of things in behind. And so it does not depend on long, whether you need long or so. Some guys have the first day, they have the eureka moment. Okay, good luck. Is so usually not. So, but if you have the eureka moment, and that is something which identifies you as an architect, this is nobody else is able to, because they are not thinking in this crooked way and this integral way. People usually say, I'm in this tunnel, in this corridor, and I'm working for the state or for the town or for the institution. And this is some weird architects, I don't want to know about what they think, so, but you earn with this a lot, and therefore I encourage everybody to stay with this searching for eureka moments in life, because that does satisfy you on the very end, and not fulfilling things, And this one in Germany, again, last sentence, is always together with engineers. Climate, of course, landscape, of course, and static engineers from the first moment, So otherwise you don't get results anymore. And in China, it's not, they just ask you and you are faking something and you do a lot of renderings and blah, blah, blah. And then they say, oh, it's nice. And so, but it's not sustainable. It's not the whole thing, So there's a big difference, in working process. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for your answer. Well, we are running out of time. We still have only 15 minutes. So I have here in the chat box one question. Then I will ask Tung and Dat to ask you another question. And then after that, we need to finish this seminar. Of course, we'll take the photo together at the end. Okay, it sounds good for you guys? Okay, so we will start the question in the chat box by Ryan Chung. He's also one of our participants in this year workshop. So hi Kai, I'm an architecture student and I'm really interested in the airport, which is with the form of organic form. But I also have a question about that. I got all the decision making for the space organization and the form give after your explanation. Part of that came from your narrative. However, without explaining on the complexity and diversity in research, I think it's hard for people to get to the intention at the first time, especially for architecture people who usually interpret another building. Therefore, my question is, how do you know your personal interpretation will work and understand by other people without being there for explain the project?
The Shijiazhuang Airport was the biggest competition we ever did after the Fair Trade Center, because it was tremendous work and really a lot of theoretical research before. And then, of course, we had a advisory guys it was from Netherlands, which were building already airports, so, and to us, it was this third competition for airports. So we got already a lot of experience in this, where it's the land side, where it's the air side and all those things, so, but without advising from those Netherlands guys who are, by the way, also advising Norman Foster, so it was a little bit, embarrassing on the very end because he got the first prize. But you cannot deal. We are going for form, for the physical space anyway, and so, but no use without the function, because in an airport, the function and all the luggage way, the passenger way, the crew way, and so that is so important in the foreground. But I did not show you because we were talking about design thinking today. I did not show you, but this was, I think we were working 3 months on this competition, so, and we were always driving to or flying to China to present. Also, they have something like intermediate improvement, so, and then they said, okay, please go this way, this way. This is very helpful. But to give the last answer, the physical form and the history and the narrative is a nice word came from us. The other things came from airport designers aus Netherlands, of course. No? Yeah, you never walk alone.
Yeah, I think this is a principle for our field because there are no architect work alone in the field.
Yeah.
Okay, so next question, please. Anton is also an architect in Sweden. So yeah, please go ahead.
Hi, Kai, and hi, everyone. Kai, thank you so much for your presentation. Such a wealth of knowledge, information, and inspiration I would be able to take with me after this presentation. I will try to formulate my question really fast because we're running out of time. I have to say that you got me right away at the first slide when you broke down all these elements related to context, landscape, history, climate, culture, movement, light, people, because I identify with those. Those things I think about a lot when I approach a project from the start as well. And we call them like a research phase when we start the project, right? But a research phase in itself, I think, is also problematic in the way that it can give us too much information. We can like too much inspiration, too much information from those like weeks or months that we spend doing the research, and sometimes each of these elements, landscape, history, climate, can produce like different designs for building. So for me, speaking from my own experience, I feel like that moment when we leave the research phase and actually start drawing the first line, that moment is really important. And somehow that moment also involves sacrifice or compromise, or like killing your darling or darlings even. So I just want to ask you, is that something that you share with, or is that a challenge that you have faced during your whole career, so to say? Thank you.
I think the challenge is to transform all this knowledge you mentioned, into insight and insight into space. So because no use. No, we are not scientists. We are emotional, intuitional persons on the very end, sensitive persons. And the clients we are building, unfortunately, for clients of ourselves, so he wants to have this. He wants to have your heart, your belly, so this is what he's paying for. And therefore, I'm, of course, I put some knowledge, so, but not too much. Otherwise you're blocked, so like Einstein was because he was so blocked and he needed to go out, to be alone, to be on the beach, to listen only to the waves and so on. And then he was, I mean, this is a story, it's a narrative. I don't know whether it happened really, but I like it so much, you know. Then in a relaxing moment, he was finding his eureka, you know. Then not while research and team and all the blah 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 talking in a big round and so, but in a quiet moment, concentrate and giving the intuition a chance, and then it comes up. So therefore, I like to have this sentence to transform knowledge into insight and insight into space or into design, you know. So this is actually the role, and then you can go back sometimes a little bit to more knowledge. Okay, this one, the engineer says this one, but you have already your eureka picture somehow in the moment, maybe not sketched already, but something is coming up, you know. So, and this one I always have, you know. So, and the thing is, often, you know, the first sketch I did in a competition, you know, very, yeah, unconventional on some paper or whatever, you know. And then we tested a lot of others. The first sketch was often the best one because not too much knowledge and too much, you know. So why don't you just do something like an artist, you know, like a sculpture? You know, he's also not beginning, I can do this one cubic or round and organic and blah blah blah. Now he says, oh, I have this idea. I want to do this. This is super nice, you know. So it is a super chance, you know, to go like Picasso in the first. He's doing in the morning some sketches, then he goes eating and bathing and whatever, you know. So, and to have to give the chance also to intuition and not too. It is not the surrogate of knowledge, you know. It is something which comes out of your heart, and this one you have to regard and to reflect by yourself. I think this is a proper answer to your questions. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a perfect answer. Thanks so much.
Thank you, anh Tùng and Kai. Well, let's have the last question from that. Can you open your mic, please? Oops. Now you mute your mic.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hello, Kite. Thank you for your presentation. Actually, very impressive architectural career, I would say, actually. And I can see like clearly like different languages, which is I'm really appreciate because, you know, like normally, like, you know, when you're architect, sometimes like I don't know for you, but some people, they will stick to some kind of design languages. But for you, I can see, you know, like you have a lot of like different languages, and it means that like during your long year of career, like you certainly go experience and you try a lot of things. And I'm really like appreciate the fire in the job and the fire in architecture field. But actually, one question regarding your first project, because I think that is one of the most impressive work that I found in your presentation. And just curious about the gesture, because, you know, you have the cut, very straight cut, and you have the two finger, which is actually the parking lot above the highway. And you also mentioned about the fact that it's actually not belong to the plot. You know, like normally we have the boundary, like the side boundary, which is actually our constraint. But actually you have the parking lot floating above the highway and it's crossing above the boundary of the site. So I just want to ask, is it like the one of the inside design brief, or do you have to, you know, persuade the client, the government, that allow you to build this kind of like crazy gesture above the highway? Yeah, this is my question actually.
Actually, they didn't calculate that someone was so encouraged to go over the highway, you know. So, but when we did it, you know, so many people were falling in love, you know, with this solution because, of course, they said, okay, it does need a special procedure, but it's the same as they did in Beijing in the airport. Sorry, in the railway station, you know, the railway station in Stuttgart it's so embarrassing. It is lasting 30 years, you know. So, and in Beijing they did the same railway station in 3 years, and it's double size. So how they do? Okay, they skip some things. They say, okay, you guys, you have to go in this other apartments, other city, whatever, you know. So, and this kind of procedure, actually similar but not equivalent, they did here, and they said, okay, we go for it, and we go for you. We give you the first prize, and we are doing this special procedure by law for you guys, for your architects, you know. And then it was not so easy, because the other architect said, yeah, this guy is not on the plot directly, you know. So, but everybody saw that it's the solution, the number one for this special situation. And then they said, okay, we are going for this legal procedure for you. And so, and there were, I think, 3 or 4 lawyers only for the process of Genehmigung. What is this Genehmigung? Permission, of this process of permission, you know. So, and it was going to Berlin, to Leipzig, and a lot of things, but on the very end they said, okay, it is okay like this anyway, and we could do it, you know. So, and then actually that was not only a question of plot, because, you know, the other side of the motorway, that was also agricultural area, not so important, you know. But the thing was to build it, you know. So, and they developed a special procedure to go with the big steel and girders over the highway. They gave us 2 nights and 2 days, the whole motorway, to block it, you know. So in a second week of the holidays, where the traffic was super less, you know, so they made a bypass, you know, like in a heart, a bypass through it, you know, and there was allowance for 2 days and 2 nights. And that was really a lot, because the television was there, and, you know, they filmed it, you know. So everybody was
This guy
said,
Easter
oh
egg, or like
God,
you wake up, you see the bypass, you know.
hopefully it works. And so, and it worked, and they did a plafond underneath, you know. So, and then the traffic was running, because afterwards nothing could fall down, and so on, you know. So, and all this they had to consider, but nobody knew that this problem on the beginning. They did not know that such problems. Otherwise, it would have been difficult to win the competition, of course, you know. But sometimes, I mean, I like to show it, because it is something you break the whole knot, you know, and by a totally different thing. And each time we said, "Oof, I never could think about this like this," because those crazy architects, they do it. And then you make people following you, you know, like in a Instagram, they follow you then, and they say it's such a great idea, you know. So we need this, and everybody is putting a lot of energy in it, and then it works, you know. That was the topic about the 2 fingers.
Yeah, it's very interesting topic,
Yeah,
actually. I appreciate it.
that
Thank you.
Thank you a lot for all the questions and all the answer. I think that it's kind of spread a little bit bigger, the so-called that Kai just put at the beginning for the theme of design thinking. So now, before say goodbye to all you guys, I think that we should just like turn on your camera so that we can take a photo together. May I ask for some other co-hosts who is on PC? Can you guys please take the photo of all of us, please? I don't know, maybe.
Yeah, I will do it.
Yeah.
Yes. You can count from 1 to 3. Yeah. Or let me count it.
Yeah, please.
Okay, I will count from 1 to 3, and then smile. Okay. 1, 2, 3, smile. Okay, one more to make sure it's perfect. 1, 2, 3, smile. Yes, perfect. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much. Well, I think that with the thank you is not enough for you, Kai, for being here with us, sharing a lot of information, sharing your vision,
Yeah.
and also your thoughts about this workshop. I think that it kind of help, first of all, our mentors here to understand more about your vision, because like you will judging at the end of the workshop,
Yeah.
right? And also, well, it's kind of for all the participants know more about the process of design in architecture. And also, I think that it kind of can apply into other field also, not just design in architecture in our work, but also in our life. So yes, thank you a lot. And I wish you the best. See you next time. I mean, like in the end of this workshop. And also, for all the all people who participate in workshop, I will see you next week on the 9th August. And yeah, we will have a official presentation about the workshop. We will have a presentation also about the topic, so that you guys can understand more, and a mini game, so you can find your mentor next week. Okay. Thank you so much. Cảm ơn.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a nice weekend on you guys. Have a nice weekend.
Thank you. Bye.
Ban tổ chức ở lại 5 phút không ạ?
Yeah.
Dạ.
Ok, rất là xin lỗi mọi người vì lúc em ấn nhầm, em bật mic nên là em bị một số sự cố ảnh hưởng đến chương trình. Rất xin lỗi mọi người.
Không sao, anh đã kịp tắt, hay quá, nhưng mà tắt luôn bật cái mút on là tắt luôn của anh Kai luôn.
Đấy, em cũng không biết tại sao là của anh Ca lại bị cắt như thế, nên là nói chung là cũng bị gián đoạn một tí. Rất là xin lỗi mọi người.
Sao đâu.
Dạ.
Ôi chúa, may quá, may là tớ kịp online với mọi người, kiểu lại tớ bị panic ấy, kiểu mấy cái nó không bật lên được, xong rồi nó chạy đi tùm lum.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Second.
Đợi xíu cho mấy bạn đi ra rồi mình.
Rồi,
Đủ chưa?
như ok rồi đấy. Bảo Khôi.
Em
từ
cho
từ.
các bạn ra rồi.
Hết rồi.
Ok.
Ok. Hình như còn một buổi seminar nữa của thầy Trương à, đúng không?
2 buổi, một buổi của anh Mẫn.
Anh Mẫn trước, sau rồi đến thầy Trương. Anh Mẫn tuần sau hả?
Anh Mẫn tuần sau ạ.
8 tây sao đó, đúng không?
Đúng rồi ạ.
Cái gì nhỉ? Thứ mấy nhỉ? Tôi còn chả nhớ.
8 tây là thứ bảy.
Thứ bảy à?
Thứ bảy sáng.
Bữa đó tôi đang trên máy bay.
9 giờ Việt Nam ạ.
Là trời. Hôm đấy là Hiếu đúng không? Hiếu với ai?
Hiếu với anh Hưng hay sao phải không? Hay Hiếu với
Nhân, không phải không? Hiếu với Nhân.
Hiếu với anh Nhân. Hiếu với Nhân. Còn thầy Trương là tớ với anh Hưng.
Đúng rồi.
Nhưng mà có nghĩa là em là MC á?
Đúng rồi, chứ gì nữa.
Bây giờ còn hỏi câu đấy.
Không, em tưởng là MC là bọn chị Hà với cả chị Nhi làm tất cả các chương trình chứ. Em tưởng thế.
Wow.
Wow, trả tiền đây.
Mày đá bóng rồi.
Wow.
Không phải. Tại em hiểu nhầm thôi, được rồi, em cũng làm được, không sao.
Người ta ghi rõ tên người phụ trách ở đấy từ bao giờ. Nhờ Nhi nhờ.
Ồ.
Ô Nhi là tuần sau quay lại bên châu
Vâng,
à?
em tưởng phụ trách là nhưng mà cái
Sau
phần
đó
dẫn dắt
Quỳnh
ấy
ơi.
thì
Sau Nhi lên Việt Nam
That
à?
record. That record.
Record.
Bao giờ Nhi quay lại
Phải
nhỉ?
không đó. Ai bấm tắt record giùm cái. Stop record.